way. This is the interesting part. I'd like to introduce Janet Maitland, who opened her own hairdressing business in 1979. You would not think it, Janet. The group now has 2 salons and a training business. Principles such as excellence, love, honesty, compassion and creativity are just some of her core values and the foundation of her business, and are reinforced in all of their activities. We're delighted she's agreed to tell us about the ups and the downs of her journey, which I'm sure will be very inspiring. There's also going to be a short piece of film at the end of Janet's presentation, and then what we're going to do is that first free raffle draw, and then we'll enjoy our lunch. So please, ladies, if you could welcome to the stage Janet Maitland.
Good afternoon, ladies. I'm so pleased to be speaking to you today, and a huge thank you to Barbara Gubbins for asking me to share part of my life's journey with you. I was born in Shropshire to a Sergeant Major of the British Army. My mum and dad met during the war whilst my mother worked in the Observer Corps in Durham Castle dungeons. When they left the army, we returned to Low Pittington. I was about 4 at this time. My father was deaf from the war and suffered what is now recognised as post-traumatic stress. My mother suffered a series of strokes when I was 9 years old, leaving her with partial sight and paralysis on her left side. I became a young carer. This totally influenced my view of the world and how I approached life. Although we came from Pittington, a small village outside of Durham, my father's experiences meant he heightened my expectations of travel, and he made it sound achievable. His wish was that I would travel the world. I wasn't an academic and preferred to look at the cathedral from Winnie Hill's school rather than learning trigonometry, which who would? My mum said I could leave school at 15, providing I was going to learn a skill. So I began work in Hillary's, a local salon with no qualifications. Little did I think that I'd be studying for the best part of my life in hairdressing, beauty, lecturing and assessments. At 19, I saw the opportunity to fulfil my father's wish and to travel the world on a Greek cruise liner as a stylist. At this point, very few people travelled abroad for holidays, and certainly not from Pittington. At the interview, I was told no way could I do it, because I had to be 21 years old. However, that didn't put me off, and I used to go to the phone box every week and put in a trunk call to the lady who organised the ship's stylists. After weeks, she buckled, and I got the job at the age of 19. It was a huge leap in salary to £15 a week. And as one of only 2 women in a crew of 150 Greek men, you can imagine it was challenging. But perhaps that's for another lunchtime. After a year at sea, I returned home and found that my mum's health had deteriorated. I decided not to take the next cruise to South America, but stay at home and look after her. Also, at the same time, to build up a clientele. In 1979, I opened my first business, Raffles. I had £3,000 of my own, and I borrowed another £3,000 from Barclays. It was in the days of bamboo and habitat. So you can gather it was wall-to-wall king and 70s chic. Raffles was a huge success. We put on charity fashion shows at Ramside Hall and raised thousands. The salon was so busy, it was unbelievable. I went on to own businesses in Hetton, Framley Moor, Gilesgate and Marbella, Spain. At this moment in time, I also own 3 properties and have enjoyed designing them with the very best best equipment. My next move was to expand the business into a training school for hairdressing apprentices. This was inspected by the ALI, which is now Ofsted. And our results were so good that we made it onto BBC News every 15 minutes. I was even invited onto Radio 4 to take part in a documentary on apprenticeships, old and new. At this point, we were the top training academy in the UK for hairdressing. I used this experience to write a quality assurance manual with procedures and documents which would ensure equal opportunities and consistency in the delivery of training. This was rolled out into colleges, teaching many things from dentistry to engineering. I feel the manual was successful because I placed the student at the centre of everything the manual was about. The individual was the most important thing, not just ticking boxes. This gave us national recognition in work-based learning. After this huge undertaking, and working with colleges throughout the country, and also government education ministers, I became very ill. The illness manifested itself with me being unable to sleep, get out of bed, or wash myself, let alone make any decisions. It was the feeling you have just before you wake up from a nightmare, when you're not sure if you're in reality or still dreaming. For me, that horror was real for 24 hours a day. I was a tortured soul. I was admitted to a psychiatric ward, and I would have been sectioned anyhow I went willingly. There I met a fantastic psychiatrist called Christine Tynan, another very strong woman. I was diagnosed as having bipolar disorder, formerly known as manic depression. This would account for my secret lows and my massive highs where I have bundles of energy. I was told I was in good company with many famous creative people such as Stephen Fry, Vincent van Gogh and Byron. I spent a very scary month there. It was very frightening. Although I have to say the staff were fantastic. I was so nervous that I did not want to leave after my month. I didn't think I would ever be able to cope with the outside world again. It was a relief at long last to have a name for what I battled with all those years, and also to recognise what my father had suffered whilst coping with his experiences of the Second World War. I was away from the salon for 6 months and had cognitive behaviour therapy for over a year. Since then, my life has been devoted to my team and celebrating the fact that I can live and function in a world I thought I might never, ever experience again. My team embarked on a new phase, competing creatively with the top salons in the UK. And surprise, surprise, they started winning. When I was young, my mum said, if you're going to be a hairdresser, make sure you're a good one. And my dad said, you're as good as any man, but no better. Those two phrases have given me drive and confidence when I needed it. And that drive has certainly kicked in again over the 7 years since I left hospital. But I must say, it's in a much more controlled way. It hasn't always been plain sailing, but I've dealt with the highs and the lows much better. My experiences, I believe, have made me a better employer, more understanding and empathic. In fact, I've started to be a speaker on behalf of the Mental Health Trust. In recent years, my team and I have embarked on projects to support local and international communities, such as sending a member of staff to Africa to educate young people on HIV, putting 2 wells into a school in Africa where previously they had to walk 30 minutes for fresh water, working closely with Stray Aid in Durham in their fantastic work with stray animals. And one charity close to my heart, the Pamper Evenings we hold in the salon for young carers who come in for a makeover and fashion advice. Of course, none of this would be possible without support. 2 very strong ladies, Sandra Snowden and Lisa Price, have been with me all of their careers, and I trust and love them very much. My family for giving me the comfort to know they're always there for me. And my husband Peter is a constant support and a wonderful friend. He's been on this roller coaster ride with me for quite some time and still hasn't decided to stop the ride. The story isn't over. Last year we were voted one of the top 5 salons in the UK. And we have been extremely successful in winning several national creative competitions against the best salons in the country. Last year, I received an industry honour in the Dorchester Hotel in London. It was a great thrill to be recognised in front of the key people in my industry. Later on this year, Rochelle, the talented head of my creative team, and I are hoping to go to an SOS village in India to teach hairdressing to young people, so they have a skill to support themselves throughout their lives and help to keep them out of poverty. Ladies, I could never have imagined when I sat looking at the cathedral from Winnie Hill School that my life would take me from fashion shows in Las Vegas, Los Angeles and Italy, whilst working with a fantastic creative team in Gilesgate, to helping young people learn a lifelong skill in India. As someone once said, it really is a life of surprises. Thank you.
Okay, so next team we have all the way from Durham.